property bindings in Ignition can be bidirectional. So for example, I have a numeric text field in the window, and I also have a slider component. I want to link the slider component to the value of the numeric text field. So on the slider, we can go down to the value property. On the right-hand side, I click on the bind button. I can link it to another property in the window, which is going to be the numeric text field's value integer. Again, making sure the two data types match up. As soon as I press OK, if I go into preview mode and I change the value of the numeric text field to say 50, you're going to see the slider value change. If I go over here and change it to a value of 25, I'm going to see the slider value change, because the slider is linked directly to the numeric text field. If I go to slider now, though, and actually modify the value, say I go and set it to 75, you're going to see that change does not get reflected back on the numeric text field. But I can go into the binding on the slider, going back to the value property, and at the very bottom there's a way of making that binding bidirectional. So that if I change the value of the slider, I can actually write that value back to the numeric text field because it's linked to it. So by making it bidirectional, as soon as I press OK, of course, if I go and modify the value in the numeric text field to say 75, you see the slider change. But now if I go over to slider and change the value, you're going to see it reflect back on the numeric text field. This is also really important when we're using UDTs on Windows. For example, here I have a UDT on the root container as a custom property called tank. Inside there I have an HOA property. And what I want to do is put a multi-state button which allows me to actually read and write to that property that's inside the UDT. So if I go down my multi-state button to the control value, I can actually bind this to a property, going into my tank's UDT and selecting the HOA. Now by making it bidirectional, I can actually write that value when the operator changes the state back to the tag that the UDT is linked to. Go ahead and press OK there. On the indicator value here, I also have to link that to a property, selecting the tank's HOA. In this case, I don't need to be bidirectional because it's just there for display. So now if I go into preview mode, I can actually go and set this value off or auto, and it actually gets reflected back on the tag there by linking it bidirectionally.